Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs by a final score of 4-3, and the Rangers have a season-high 6-game losing streak, 0-5-1 to be specific, and they are now officially eliminated from playoff contention. So with 10 games to go, eliminated from playoff contention, which in the one hand, it's like, wait a minute, they haven't been eliminated yet, but like that is with 10 games to go, that is a lot. They've been out of it for a long time, and now it becomes official. This was a game the Rangers really did dominate for most of the night, and I kind of felt pleasantly surprised that they lost this game. I just because of the fact that the Rangers were, they're coming off a really bad outing against Ottawa. Toronto had won the night before, where they played well at Boston. Really, they played spoiler against one of their big rivals, and the Rangers really were the better team in this one. But Joseph Wall really he outplayed Igor Shesterkin. There's just no question about it. And really, yeah, Igor let in a few goals that just weren't great. Again, don't mind it, but that's just what it was, and it was a bit of a surprise in that way. And the Rangers kind of kept on fighting back. Rangers really won the special teams battle. Rangers scored a couple power play goals, didn't allow any on Toronto's end, which has been a problem for the Rangers. But it was a little bit too much to overcome. Down 3-0, they cut it to 3-2, but then Toronto goes up by 2 again. Rangers have a quick response, and then you pull the goalie, but they were unsuccessful. And this is kind of what you need. The Rangers, as it stands right now, they're in that #2 spot, pre-lottery. So the one thing, and again, like I'll admit it, I thought the Rangers were going to win this game, right? So what I say doesn't really mean a whole lot, but I also feel like I was a little bit right in the fact the Rangers truly did kind of take it to Toronto in a lot of ways. They outshot the Maple Leafs 43-18. And to be specific, in the final 2 periods, and again, you are in trail mode, right? So I do acknowledge that naturally you're going to probably outshoot the opponent there. But I mean, 29-8 in the final 2 periods, the Rangers outshot Toronto. My concern is that this next game is so big in Chicago, really, really big. And the Rangers are on a 16 losing streak. Chicago will be coming off of a game played the night before. They'll be in Philly. We'll see, right? Like, certainly the Rangers are very, very capable of losing, right? They're the second, based on points and points percentage, they're the second worst team in the National Hockey League. So it speaks for itself. But I do have this bad feeling they might win that game, which would be unfortunate. If you win it, let it be, like that's one of those things where, and look, it happened a few weeks ago against Calgary where the Rangers had that regulation win, but at least I felt a little bit better knowing that early in the season, the Rangers did lose to Calgary in regulation. The same thing here in Chicago, right? You play the Western Conference twice. They already lost to Chicago. So at least in a worst case scenario, you're even with them. It's not like, oh, you fucked up where you beat them twice or something, and that's the difference. So at least there's that. But yeah, I would love to lose the Chicago game. It's the biggest game left. And quite honestly, I do think Dylan Garand, I think there's a good chance, in my opinion, that he gets that game. And not for nothing, that maybe Drew Fortescue, this has nothing to do with win-loss, but Drew Fortescue, I got to think that he didn't play in this game. I really do believe that he might get his first crack against Chicago Friday night. But we'll get into the Chicago game after this one. Adam Sikora makes his NHL debut. So Sikora, who was a 2022 second-round draft pick, had been in Hartford for a while, and he gets a chance. And I'm all for that, right? Like, he was all right in this game. He was on a line with Trocheck and Cooley, which, look, isn't a very good line. I mean, Will Cooley has been terrible. Like, we'll talk. I mean, look, Will Cooley, he drew a penalty. Like, he can be a bit of an agitator in his own way, but like he is. Well, again, we'll talk about it more specifically when it gets to certain points of the game. But he was on that line with Trocheck and Cooley, Adam Sikora, and look, let's see what he can do. Was he great? No. He wasn't, but you can see what he's about, right? It's almost like a Brett Berard style. He's smaller in size, a bit diminutive, but doesn't mind going to the hard areas. He's a bit of he forechecks. He's someone that can, he can be a bit of a spark plug. Kind of in the way that it's different than Ty Cartier. I think Ty Cartier has more to his game, a little more size as well, but it's that sort of energy that there's something that he can bring to the table. Again, am I bullish on Sikora in the long run? Not really. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a whole lot. Again, he's a little undersized. I don't know if there's enough scoring punch there, but good for him for getting a chance. I think he's been playing pretty well at Hartford, and I am all for seeing what he can do down the stretch. That's what it's all about here. Um, so the healthy scratches for this game, and let's keep it with the forwards for now. Sikora comes in, Brodzinski's back in, and so look at it this way. Basically, Brodzinski takes the Parsonen spot, and it doesn't really matter much. It's interchangeable. But Adam Edstrom's a healthy scratch, and it goes to show you kind of Adam Edstrom is in no way like not that anyone ever thought he was a lock to sort of like be a regular lineup, but he just isn't. And they're giving him opportunity. I think that I guess I don't really know if they like him or not, right? The coaching staff. It is hard to tell, but right. But like, there was a time where last year that Edstrom Carrick Rempe line, and even the beginning of the year, like you thought you had something there. Well, now Carrick's traded. Rempe, it's been a lost year for him where he's been hurt basically the whole season. And Edstrom has been hurt a lot as well, right? So Adam Edstrom healthy scratch is just not a great thing for him. Look, I mean, I would rather like for me, not even, let's forget about Connor Sherry for just a moment because to be fair, he has been effective, even though, in my opinion, there's not much use for me in the lineup. Like Taylor Radish played less than 8 minutes. Like, let it be Edstrom. Let Taylor Radish be the healthy scratch. Like Edstrom's at least a young player that you're looking to kind of see what he can do, but anyway, the fourth line was Radish, Brodzinski, and Hamelash. And Hamelash and Sikora are good friends, by the way. And look, Sikora got a lot more time. Like, clearly they think somewhat highly of Sikora. He got, just comparing Sikora to Hamelash, whether that's fair or not, he played 10 more shifts than Hamelash. He played over 6 more minutes than him. So they're getting that's a legit look, right? Where like Hamelash playing 8 shifts at 725, that's nothing. I mean, this was really, and this is how it's been. It's been 3 lines. That fourth line, whoever's been on it, hasn't played a whole lot. And it's been, like I said, it's been a combination of Brodzinski, Parsonen, Edstrom, Hamelash, Radish. And so that's what it is. And so the rest of the forward lines were as you'd expect. On defense, they sent down Connor Mackey, which makes sense. Connor Mackey looked bad. I mean, he wasn't good. In the few games he played, he did not look good. And so Vince Nyora was back in the lineup. And so the initial thought was that they would go with Schneider and Borgen, which they've tried to avoid that. I think this was done. I think this was done to get them. They claimed, that they wanted Schneider Borgen so that they could be part of the top 4. Like, sure, because it almost speaks poorly on Robertson, which maybe is true, but I think it was kind of in a way to kind of get Iorio back in there and kind of align it in a certain way because he hadn't played in a while. But the problem there is that and it's a shame because we thought that maybe Schneider was somewhat capable of playing the left side. If you remember, I think it was last year specifically where he was with Trouba on the left side and actually did pretty well. So I don't know if it's a left side issue or a partner issue. Schneider and Borgen, where at times, if you remember, I did praise them a little bit, and I think I almost was wrong for that as far as like them playing together. They really are not good together. Like, forget about handedness. Like, it's just not a good duo. They're better separated. And so after the first period, they were. Now, at times they were together. It wasn't like it was an exclusive thing, but the original thought was Robertson with Iorio, but then it ended up just being a combination of the 4, right? Gavrikov, Fox at the top. And look, those guys, Gavrikov, Fox, defensively, I feel like they've been too aggressive and it's led to goals the other way, where Fox has caught up ice or like they have not been. They were very good, right? The first half of the season, that was one of the bright points, is Gavrikov Fox. And now, since Fox has been back and, they just haven't been good, like, at all. If we're being fair about things, right? I love Gavrikov, what he's done offensively, and I like Gavrikov. And Adam Fox, I think there's many different reasons as to why he's done what he's done, but Adam Fox has not been very good. Fox, like, as a power play quarterback, great. Like, the power play has been running very, very well. And it was again tonight, but the last thing I'll say just on the whole is you get a lot. One of the brights, this was the kind of an ideal regulation loss here where Alexis Lafrenière gets 3 points. Lafrenière hits the 50-point mark. He's at 21 goals. Like, that's great. With 10 games to go, could he maybe get the 60 point? He would need 10 points less in games. It's possible. And that would be a career high for Alexis Lafrenière. His career high going into the season was 57 points in 2024. And again, he has 10 games if he gets 7 points, he matches it, 80 passes it. So that's good to see. And Gabe Perreault had a nice night. He had an assist and on a good pass on Mika Zibanejad's second goal, and Mika with 2 goals. Again, he continues to do as much as he possibly can, and a terrible Ranger season. But anyway, like I said, Joseph Wall, they went with Stolars the night before Toronto, so naturally Wall was in here. And, Igor, who's really had some great starts in Toronto. I mean, in his career, he's done very well there. I think the stats back it up, and I remember that. And I was actually at that first game this year in Toronto. He played very well. The Rangers probably deserved a better fate in that game and this game. Toronto won 2-1 in overtime back on October 16th, and Austin Matthews overtime winner. And here, again, 4-3 Toronto in regulation, where the Leafs were outshot 43-18. But I'm happy to be on the losing side of this. So first period again, the Rangers from the jump, I thought they're the better team, but against the flow of play, at 5:15, Jake McCabe scores his 4th goal of the season, assisted by Michelli and Joshua. And it just ends up a messy play for Robertson and Iorio, where Robertson kind of loses the puck. Iorio doesn't help out a whole lot. It's a scramble in front. Hamelash even kind of bumps into Igor, and Jake McCabe is able to score. So that's the thing too. It's a little bit of a line change situation as well, where the Trocheck line, it was a combination of, I think, the Trocheck line and maybe the 4th line. But again, Robertson gets into trouble. Iorio doesn't help. Leafs get a little bit of a lucky bounce as well, and the Leafs make it 1-0. Then at 12:01 is where I think it's one where Igor wants to have that back. Nicholas Robertson scores his 14th goal of the season, assisted by Domi at the 12:08 mark of the first period. And it's one where not a great play by Will Borgen had a rough night. And we'll get to Borgen. Actually, after I discuss this goal, I'll talk Borgen in case I forget, because something does happen to Borgen late in the game that I want to discuss. But Borgen, doesn't get it through. Will Borgen has trouble kind of getting his shots through, kind of a weak shot. And it ends up in a situation where Robertson ends up with a little bit of room on that left side, right? Well, I guess to the right of Igor, actually, but Robertson's left. Nicholas Robinson, not Matthew Robertson of the Rangers. And it's one that goes by Igor that I know that's one that he wants to have back. That's one that he needs to save. And so Toronto makes it 2-0 again, where, not a great shift by Will Borgen. Will Borgen, he takes a shot to, I believe, the knee area late in the game, right? A minute and a half left. It did not look good. I haven't heard anything because it was so late. Like, it's not like he ended up kind of making his way over the bench. Oh, right. So I don't know I have no idea. He may be completely fine, but I just wanted to bring that up. He was on the ice there for a while, but he didn't need that much help getting off the ice. I don't believe any of the beat reporters asked Sullivan about it, so there's no information there. But I guess I wouldn't be surprised either way, right? If he ends up not playing next game, you know where it came from. But if he plays, that makes sense too. Will Borgen's a pretty tough guy and doesn't miss many games. So just wanted to mention that. We'll see what happens. All to say, though, I think Drew Fortescue, whether it's for Borgen or Iorio, I really think that Fortescue makes that debut against Chicago. So 2-0 Leafs, and the Rangers would take a penalty towards the end of the first. Matthew Robertson holds Easton Cowan at 16:55, but the Rangers do kill that off. So Toronto has a 2-0 lead at the end of the first period. This was probably the worst of the Rangers' 3 periods, but at the same time, they didn't deserve the 2-0 fate that they had. And so we go to the second period, and yet again, well, I shouldn't say yet again yet. Dakota Joshua cross-checks Ty Cartier at 122. Kind of begins a little bit of a theme of kind of unnecessary penalties by Toronto. And maybe you could argue that some of the calls weren't necessary from the ref's end, but it was kind of extracurricular action on Toronto's part that ends up costing them. Now, this one is killed off by the Leafs. And then they take a 3-0 lead. At 5:51, it's actually Joshua himself, his 10th goal of the season from Michelli and Wall. And this was one where the Rangers kind of get caught up. Fox gets caught up, which happened a lot lately, and Zibanejad's back, and Michelli is given a little bit too much room, maybe in part because Zibanejad was, who's normally a forward, was back. It was Gavrikov and Zibanejad back, and essentially just a little bit too much inside ice was given. I think Gavrikov and Zibanejad were back too much. And Dakota Joshua takes a solid shot, but goes in past Igor. Again, that one is another one that I think he wants to have back. Clean look, and it goes by him, 3-0 Toronto. And then at 9:55, Simone Benoit, Russ Vincent, Trocheck in front. Again, that one, not a smart penalty by Benoit, and the Rangers do take advantage this time. At 10:16, it's Lafrenière scoring his 21st goal of the season from Miller and Fox. So, nice pass by Miller to find Lafrenière wide open in front, and he didn't waste any time, right? Lafrenière in that net front role, that's where he's been. He's able to just quickly go from backhand to forehand and score past Wall, makes it 3-1. And then at 17:02, Oliver Ekman-Larsson slashes Will Cooley. So the one positive thing that Cooley has, he does draw penalties from time to time. Ekman-Larsson was not happy with the refs on that one, but they call it nonetheless. And at 18:01, it's another power play goal for the Rangers, and it's Zibanejad. 31st goal of the season from Lafrenière and Fox. So at that point, give Lafrenière 2 points, give Fox 2 points, and just a really nice pass by Lafrenière to find and open Zibanejad right in his wheelhouse. Lafrenière goes kind of whips a cross-ice pass to an open Zibanejad, gets some elevation on it. Wall can't get over there, and it's 3-2, and that's the score going to the third period, to which the Rangers really dominated the second. It wasn't quite, Toronto did a little bit of a better job in the third, kind of keeping things at bay, but the Rangers were the better team in the third as well. Again, you're in comeback mode, so it's kind of natural, and Toronto played the night before. At 8:20, Braden Schneider does hold William Nylander, but the Rangers killed off. Toronto power play, the 2 looks they had, not a whole lot. Losing Austin Matthews hurts, but the Toronto special teams was not good in this game. But at 11:57, Jean Tavares scores his 26th goal of the season unassisted. And this is an example of Will Cooley just very easily, in terms of whether it be battles or just open ice situations, Will Cooley needs to do a better job of just being able to hang on to the puck. You can take it away from him way too easily. With Will Cooley, what you're noticing is there's just such a lack of skill. You love the size. Look, he is capable of doing some things net front. Like, he can tip pucks in. He is a guy that is more than capable. Like, he may even still do it this year. He can get you 20 goals. This is a guy, though, that is so clearly not a top 6 player that is playing in that top 6 role. He's playing way too much. It's just a bad play by Cooley, and it leads to Tavares going the other way with a little bit of speed on the right side. He's got Gavrikov near him. Gavrikov and Fox are back, and Tavares scores past Shesterkin. I'll give Tavares some credit on this one. It was a good shot, but again, collectively, I don't blame Igor at all for the first goal, but I thought the second goal was bad, and the third and fourth are ones that I think at times you can save. I think this Tavares shot was probably a little bit more lethal than Joshua's third goal, but it makes it 4-2 Toronto, but the Rangers have a very quick response. At 13:04, Zibanejad scores again. 32nd goal of the season from Perreault and Lafrenière. So this was a play that was a really nice sort of passing play from all of them. Lafrenière finds Perreault, and Zibanejad's up the middle. Perreault times it perfectly. Zibanejad goes backhand, and so it's Zibanejad's second goal of the night, Lafreniere's third point of the night. And the Rangers kept on pushing. They would pull the goalie. Again, you had the Borgen situation where he took the puck to the knee. See what comes of that. And with 20 seconds left, Gabe Perreault is cross-checked by Jake McCabe at 19:40. So the Rangers have a 6-on-4. But they are unable, ultimately. The faceoff ended up being out of the zone, I think, because there was a little bit of a skirmish. I think the reason behind that was because there was a little bit of a skirmish that went on after that, and that was the right thing to do, right? Perreault, young player, gets hit in the boards. That's the right response, just is. And maybe there could have even been more of a response if we're being honest. But in that situation, I understand that they're trying to win the game. You don't want to take a penalty, but Toronto wins it 4-3. And so again, Rangers 16 losing streak. They had two previous, not including this stretch, they had 2 previous 5-game losing streaks. So this is a high watermark for them. Record now sits at 28-35-9. And now it starts a 7-game homestand, which is crazy. It's a 7-game homestand, and then that's it for them. And then it's at home, and then it's 3 on the road. So 10 games to go, 7 at home, 3 on the road. And the next game being against Chicago, which is a very, very crucial game for the tank. I really hope the Rangers don't win in regulation. That would be obviously by far the worst possible outcome. If you're going to win, at least let it be a situation where Chicago maybe gets a point, or hell, sign me up for a Chicago 2-point range. If Chicago gets 2 points, Rangers get 1 point, I'm good with that. I'm, definitely that's a solid outcome based on where things are right now. The Rangers are kind of in as good as a spot as they've been. But again, there's a lot to go. But the good news here is I think I'm at the point now where I'm mainly focused on Colorado, Calgary, and Chicago. And if the Rangers start winning games, then you start to concern yourself with teams that are above them. But for now, it's kind of a three-team race for the number two spot. And you happen to play one of those teams head on next. A Chicago team that's actually really been playing very competitively lately. So we'll see what they do. We'll see how they do against the Flyers in the night before. And so they will come to town. Rangers will be at home for a long time. I think, they don't go back on the road for 2.5 weeks, where they'll go to Dallas somewhere around the April 10th range, or April 11th. Yeah, April 11th. So it's going to be a while. A lot of, we'll see how that home record ends up. It's obviously been very bad to this point, and their opponents coming up here are teams that don't have anything to go for playoff-wise, right? Chicago, Florida, Devils. None of them really have playoff aspirations. Then after that, you do play teams that are in the playoff mix, like Montreal, Detroit, Washington. By then might not be. They probably won't be, actually. And then Buffalo. So not an easy schedule by any means, but the next few games here, there are some winnable ones on the schedule. So again, Rangers lose their sixth in a row. They are officially eliminated from playoff contention after losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs by a final score of 4-3.